Like Caro, it's 27 minutes past 10 in Australia this morning, and I'm going to be largely reading on the Trump. So I'll give everybody a couple of minutes to join while I prepare the packs. And of course, this reading will be available on playback after I finish. So if you've missed the live stream, don't worry too much. You'll be able to pick the reading up later on. So I'm going to be reading largely on Ivanka Trump, Don Jr. We'll have a look at Eric. Of course, Eric was at Trump's rallies chanting "lock him up" to Joe Biden, which is quite laughable. And look at whether they seem to. Hello, Lynn. How are you this morning? Well, this evening for you. Lovely to see you here. So we'll look at the Trump children as well as Jared Kushner. We'll also look at Trump's campaign strategy. He seems to be. Hello, Jana. How are you? He seems to be reworking what he did in 2016. Hello, Carol. How are you? Lovely that you ladies could join me this morning. But before I start with, it looks like Rose and Bees is on here as well. So as I understand it, the way this works, some people can choose not to be in the chat room, but are still viewing this live. To everyone, regardless of whether you're sitting in the chat room or you're just viewing me right at the moment, welcome. All right. First, I want to go to Syria before we start with the Trump children, because the news coming out of Syria is just getting worse and worse and worse. And I do believe that the White House now would be in a state of absolute confusion, because I don't think Trump expected Turkey to go as far as what he did. Or there's another possibility, and that's what I want to read on this morning. The other possibility is Trump knew exactly what Turkey was going to do when he did this, and it again comes back to Vladimir doing what he's meant to be doing for Vladimir Putin, and that is allowing Vladimir Putin to really get everything he wants. Not only does he get US out of Syria, but he is also able then to, with this massacre that's happening by Turkey, he's able to ride in and do a deal with the Kurds and Assad, and somehow be the geopolitical force in Syria. So it's not just about Putin's trade routes and economic gains in Syria. It's about geopolitical influence. Now, why am I going down this track? Some time ago, when I was reading in 2016, and I was reading predictions about Trump getting elected, and I was. Oh, okay. Jana has just said she's had a bad reoccurrence of sciatica down her leg. Any energy healing would be appreciated. Yeah, okay. So everybody, if you could just send those healing light thoughts to Jana's, particularly her left leg, please. I'm sorry to hear that, Jana. I'm hoping that it will improve. I have had sciatica at various times in my life. It's no fun at all. Okay, so why am I saying that Putin also had a geopolitical and influence type of agenda in Syria? In 2016, I read a prediction from a very good astrologer that I was searching for in this vain hope that Trump somehow couldn't be real. That's how affected I was by it, that he was elected president. One of the predictions I read was that Russia and China would gain in world influence as this populist movement spreads, and world structures are being taken apart. It allows China and Russia to then come in where these populist leaders have stepped back due to due to this anti-globalism, it allows China and Russia in then to come in and then save the day, almost not save the day, but extend their influence. Now we've seen that happening in Australia here. Our Prime Minister follows Trump in this anti-globalism, and he is also anti-climate change, along with anti-immigration, anti-everything. It's pretty much a carbon copy of Trump. We have in our Asia-Pacific region, we have a number of Commonwealth countries like Fiji who are low-lying countries and very concerned about climate change. Our Prime Minister went over there and basically dissed on them and said climate change isn't really happening and, no need to get too concerned. He failed to turn up to meetings on climate change. Anyway, there was a lot of bad publicity around that. And as a result, China has just negotiated with Fiji in the Asia Pacific, in our region, to become a part of their Belt and Roads policy, which is bringing new infrastructure to countries that need it and joining up trade routes, etc. But what happens is developing countries pay a mozza for it, and then they go into debt to China, and then of course China calls in their debt, which is what is happening in Africa. So I'm wondering if Putin in Syria is not just about trade routes, but about geopolitical influence, which means that this was planned all along, that this isn't an ignorant Trump pulling out because of Trump Towers in Turkey. This is something far more sinister than that. All right, so what do we need to know about Syria? So, hello, Julie. Okay. Julie's got some good advice for Jana's sciatica. All righty, let's have a look at what we need to know about Syria. What do we need to know about Syria? So what I'm seeing is a darkened doorway, and I feel that what's behind the light is even worse than what we're seeing at the moment. So this could be also about driving refugees into Europe. So again, the same playbook from 2016 onwards. And if we look back to what destabilized the EU to begin with, one of the things has been immigration as a result of the Syrian war. So I'm feeling that there is a dark room with bad actors behind it, and we're actually being conned. Even though we think we know what we know, there's actually a lot more that we don't know. Okay, so that's intuitively what I got. Let's have a look at what the cards are going to say about Syria, and it's very upsetting for everybody. Okay, Syria. What do we need to know about Syria? What's going on? What are some of the intentions, Trump's intentions, Trump, Putin? What are some of the intentions in Syria? What do we need to know about Syria? Okay, so there's loss and disappointment and cynicism and bitterness as the signifier card. The challenge to the way we feel about this is money, and this 10 of Pentacles is my Trump organisation card. So straight away, what I'm seeing, and I did intuitively feel this about 24 hours ago, I got a flash that Putin is disappointed with Trump, and he put quite significant leverage on Trump to do this. Okay, so that was what my intuition was telling me, that he knows that Trump is going down, and that Syria was a significant push, Putin push. And in a way, what Putin's doing is completely abandoning Trump, because this is Trump's on his knees, really, and Putin knows it, and Putin's extracting blood from the stone. So let's keep going. We've got the chariot as the foundation. So we've got this invasion of Turkey. This invasion of Syria by Turkey. And what this is telling me is that when Trump unleashed this, it got away from him, which is the nature of the chariot. It's like you can't control it. So that's interesting. We've got a disappointment. We've got the Trump organization, and we've got unleashing the hounds of hell and not being able to close the gate on them. I believe that the person that holds the upper card here is Vladimir Putin. Okay, so we've got the past, we've got the emperor, so we've got Trump and Putin to a certain extent, and we'll drill down with some clarifiers. That's the past card, but it's linking with the disappointment. It's linking with Trump organization, and it's linking with not being able to control something. We've got the wheel of destiny here. Now, this is in the sky. This is things changing for the better. So, I would say that, I can read this positively, but the other aspect of that closed door, that black room, that black almost mobster room that I'm seeing, diabolical as it is, the other aspect of that is that there's a karmic situation that's unfolding here. And so the other thoughts that I've had is that we're meant to be seeing this. We're meant to be able to see just what manipulations. They're not manipulations is too soft a word. What diabolical machinations go on at this level that result in the bloodshed and the killing and the maiming of innocent people. Okay, so in some ways, what this is telling me is that Trump was caught. Trump was in a web. Okay, so in the immediate future, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. Because I'm reading Putin and Trump, this isn't a new start. This is income. This is income being derived. Now, what does that mean? I read, well, for Putin, it means that he shores up his trade routes. He shores up the port of Tartus, which he leases from Assad, and he has influence in the seas around Syria. Could this be bad in the next 1-2 years for anyone trying to negotiate those trade routes? Who knows what Putin's going to do in the seas surrounding his, the area of his influence? Who knows? We know he has been pulling up ships, UK ships, and he has been blocking the sea. I think it's the Black Sea around Ukraine and Russia. So he's not adverse to pulling up boarding ships, even taking their crew under house arrest. So what else is he trying to do with his trade routes? Not only control them, but perhaps stop others from using them. So, but back to Trump. Trump, I feel, is a small player in this, even though he's the president of the United States. It's really, someone said in the media the other day, it's like electing a mob boss as the president, and I don't think that's far from the truth. This is the nature of this black room that I'm seeing. For Trump, it means a continual source of money. So there are conjecture around that all his properties, which lose, are just a front to launder money, and have been for the last 40 odd years and before in Fred Trump's day. Someone sent me a history of Fred Trump that had been compiled. Going back to newspaper articles of the time, showing the Russian mob influence in Fred Trump's properties on his construction sites, and so if that is the case, and Trump has been beholden to the Russian mafia for most of his life and before, then what has occurred now and what is occurring now it should come as no surprise. What is a surprise is how did he get to be? How did he even get to be considered to be a candidate for the presidency? How did he evade the law in New York for so long? They're key questions. All right, so let's have a look at what's happening now. Trump and Putin we're talking about. We've got these the Ace of Wands. This is a fiery plan, and this is, the Ace of Wands is generally a good card, but this is, if you look at the sky, this is the bloodshed. This is what is going on, because we're reading on Syria, Trump and Putin. We've got the soldiers coming in. Now, I do believe that you'll see Russian soldiers now coming into the fray and driving back Turkish troops, along with Assad's troops, along with the Kurds. This is the alliance. This is the new alliance there. And we've got hopes and fears. This is what America feared. Stepping away from this strategic position in the Middle East, and I wonder where Israel is on all of this. And we've got the Page of Pentacles. Again, this is a card for Trump. It's I think reflects his role in all of this. He is Putin's employee almost, and this is reward for effort. And we've also got retreat, mortally wounded. Now, that's interesting because Trump isn't America, is he? He's not America. There are other mightier structures than Donald Trump. And so even though he may have been doing Putin's bidding, the sword of truth is still there. We are meant to see what's in that darkened room. That's the karmic situation that we're currently in. Will we learn from it? Will we learn the lesson? What's happening at the base of the pack? We've got the Six of Cups, which is going back to the past. We've got a crossroads, Trump at the crossroads, trying to have to make a decision or a compromise. Why? Because of the debt. The Six of Pentacles, the debt to Putin. So I think that we're on the money here with this reading, that this was bigger than two Trump towers, twin towers in Turkey. This is, you have to be, I guess, even more listening even more closely for what Trump is saying, because even when he comes forward and makes out this is just around his Trump towers, it's not. It's something more than that. It's always back to whose pocket he's in. So Putin gets a big win. We see babies and women raped and murdered, and the Kurdish soldiers massacred. We're seeing all of that, and where to from here? Where to from here? Now, in the meantime, we've got Bannon et al. Running around trying to change the structures in Europe, Canada, even Australia, to this populist movement. But it's not that at all. It's all about what we're seeing in Syria. It's all about economic leverage, economic power for certain countries that may not have had it before, and it's all about geopolitical influence, and that map is changing, and that is what Trump is there to do. So it is almost beyond what you're seeing. There's also another layer. This is what I feel intuitively. This is what I felt in the last 48 hours. I may be right and I may be wrong, but we'll see. I don't know that media. Haven't seen anything in the media around this other than the obvious that Putin, is increasing his economic and geopolitical power as a result of the US pulling out of the truce. I often wonder why Obama doesn't come out and defend his policies more than what he has. Someone sent me a link to Obama excoriating, I think that was the headline, excoriating Trump at a speech at the Illinois University. This must be circulating, because when I took a closer look at it, it's 2018. It's not a current clip. So people want to be assured. They want the bad guys taken care of. Now, okay, let me have a look at your questions. Marianne B, I hope we see it all and learn the lesson. Things are so hard right now here in the US. Julie V, your intuition feels absolutely right to me, and it's pretty huge and scary, but necessary for us to see. I always say that when enough of us see it, including our relatives who might yet to be convinced that, Trump isn't so bad, although they're starting to come around to, yeah, he's pretty bad. Boris Johnson, well, he's just trying to stand up for national interests. When they start to come around and start to see the layers upon what's really going on, then I hope that their views change. But if we don't see what's in that darkened room, then we're all vulnerable to the con. We're all vulnerable to con artists. And being duped. And unfortunately, they do it by pushing our prejudice. Yeah. So let's have a look. There's about, I think, 500 odd thousand refugees. I think it's close to 500,000 refugees that will be pushing out of as a result of the Turkish invasion. Let's just put it that way. They're not securing their borders, they're taking territory now, okay? And this is unfolding very rapidly. They're taking territory. There's about 500,000 refugees that are going to be displaced. Where do the refugees go? They go into settlements and camps that are run by the UN. I feel that UN has been caught very short. I feel that Western, I was going to say allies, let's say Western democratic countries that still have democratic leaders there have been caught a bit short by the pace of all this as well. No one expected Turkey to be as aggressive. That's probably a good question. Did Putin and Trump, okay, no, Trump, probably Putin always did, but did Trump expect Turkey to be so aggressive in their invasion of Syria? Was Trump caught unawares? Because he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Was Trump caught unawares by Turkey's extended invasion of Syria? Oh gosh, if there was a lynch mob, I reckon Trump would be, I often wonder why, a sniper hasn't taken aim. We lost good presidents and good leaders in Australia as well. And someone like Trump seems to keep on keeping on. We've got the Six of Cups going back into the past again, and we've got the compromise. Okay, so here we are again. The cards are leading us on a trail to say this is irrelevant because he had no choice. His feet were being held to the flames. However, we've got the 10 of Cups, and here's some good news. This is the American voters as the foundation of the reading. So this is the check here. This is the check and the balance. He's very insecure, and he's insecure about his money. I wonder what Putin threatened him with. Because you could imagine the compromise someone like Putin would have, the leverage someone would have over Trump. We've got reevaluation and review, but this is also in a monetary sense, not being able to achieve your monetary goals. We've got Pelosi and the Congress. Now, in my reading the other day, I knew that, well, not that I knew, I can only ever I can only ever intuit. I never know for sure when I'm reading, but what I read was that sanctions would come forward, but they better hurry up because I had that Two of Wands there, which would be time would be the big killer. Literally, time would be the big killer. Graham combined with a Democrat, and they brought sanction legislation forward. But what this is telling me is that I think, as I understand it, your Congress comes back. Is it next week? Hell of a time for it to be in recess. When they do, you're going to get the Democrats coming out on Syria, marching like bang. No, they're not going to muck about. Right now, we've got Trump more concerned about his money. And I'll get to Ivanka because we're at 24 minutes now, and perhaps his children as well. We've got the atmosphere is this is generated and continues to generate the Star of Hope. I think this is your Star-Spangled Banner. I really do. So next week, look for Pelosi and the Democrats to really come, really fighting for the Kurds, and fighting against what Trump has done, fighting for America's foreign policy. Of course, Colin Powell, your former, was he Secretary of State with Bush, has come out and said America's foreign policy is in shambles. I'm feeling they might bring forward some legislation to try and stop his unilateral decision-making like this. That's what I'm feeling. He's going to have to defend himself with this Seven of Wands, and there's going to be loss. When I started the reading on Syria, this fell out, and we've got victory here, and we've got the income sources. So the outcome, even though Pelosi will come forward and take a swing, and there could even be some legislation to try and limit his unilateral or wholesale decision making like this when it comes to this kind of thing, because there could be legislation around the US support of the Kurds that may start to be quoted, and that in pulling the troops out, I'm not sure how it all legally works, but I think that you're going to see some real strong pushback. However, at the end of the day, it's too late. It's too late for that. We've got loss and we've got victory for Putin and ultimately for Trump. We've also being reminded at the ties that bind, and that Putin is disappointed with Trump's performance. He's never managed to lift the sanctions on Russia. He's been hamstrung literally from the get-go by Robert Mueller. Now, Lena Rodriguez has said that the two Ukrainian business people were arrested, that Berman in SDNY used an unsealed Mueller investigation indictment. I haven't seen that in the media, but I'm going to try and track it down, because if that's the case, we need to go back to Robert Mueller and what landmines he has left buried. And that will tell us where perhaps people like Jeffrey Berman are at, and also the intelligence agencies. So Trump is not America. Trump is, not at all. Significant work to try and bring forward for Trump. We're talking about to bring forward any gains for Putin, and we've got this isolation and the truth coming out. Interesting cards, because what happened in September is exactly that. We had Trump not only facing Mueller but a Ukrainian scandal. Putin's disappointed in him. It's taken a lot of work for Trump to do anything really for Putin. He's been juggling Putin's interests and potential exposure. And in September, we had more exposure for Trump, a key month, September. And then we've got the sword of justice here. So, we're a long way from it ending, but I do feel intuitively it will end with the end of Trump. It will end in exposure. I'm not sure about full exposure, but exposure of what Putin and Trump have been doing. And I think it will end as it should end, but we're just getting a look behind in that black room now. Now, I'm just going to... You think NATO should throw Turkey? Yeah. Where's NATO? I do feel NATO is being caught short. Look, I've done some work for aid organisations, and when NATO gets involved, and in a refugee crisis, this is what NATO is set up there to do, to prevent this. Absolutely. Where is NATO? Why haven't they called for Turkey's expulsion from NATO? Angela Merkel has put a call into the Turkish president and has said, halt this invasion. But you've got to remember that this comes after 3 years of Trump and Putin destroying and weakening, not destroying, weakening these structures. And it's been a political attack more than anything. And so they don't have a mandate now to go as far as what they could have 3 years ago. So you can see how insidious, and I'll use the word insidious, this attack has been. It's been, it's been, yes, it's been about America, but in the bigger picture, it's been about America's role in securing stability across the world, and weaken that, and you get people like Putin able to do what he wants to do. So before we go into too much more, I could see where Bannon is at. I might do a remote view into Bannon in the next 24 hours and see what we see. Let's go to Ivanka. Now, just before I came on, I read something in the media about the inauguration investigation is warming up for Ivanka. There is about $40 million missing, and there's also tax violations there because if she's overcharged astronomical rates on the Trump hotels and ballrooms for that inauguration, there's also a tax evasion aspect of that as well. So what's she thinking? Well, let's have a look. Ivanka and the inauguration investigation. Remembering, I'm coming back to the landmines that Mueller might have left. We don't know for sure that there's not an indictment for Ivanka Trump that somebody will use at some point. So Ivanka Trump and the inauguration investigation, that's going on in DC. It's also going on in the House, but mostly it's going on in New York with Letitia James. Okay, so and SDNY as well, which is under Berman again. Oh, okay. So, all right. More on that. We'll read on Berman separately. Okay, Ivanka and the inauguration. What do we need to know about Ivanka and the inauguration? Okay, so we've got the celebrations with the Four of Wands. This is my Democrat card as well. So it's interesting what could come in the House. Hunter Biden's standing down from his board membership in China, regardless of the fact that he's clean and so is Joe Biden. Nevertheless, there's been enough mud slung into the water for Hunter Biden to step back. And we've got the defending oneself. So again, diversion. While ever we're focused on Hunter Biden, we're not focused on Ivanka. However, this is also in layers. I'm reading in layers. This is the inauguration and the win in 2016. She's challenged by having to defend herself. We've got the Wheel of Fortune again. This is time and destiny and things improving generally. We'll get some context on that. In the past, she's been restricted. There's this restriction with this Eight of Swords. Interesting, we go to Ivanka because what's in the sky is the Tower. I'm wondering if something is going to break around the inauguration, the immediate future, being chained to the devil. She actually just pulls a leaf out of Trump's playbook. This may also not be the inauguration. This may be other. She's being looked at for other deals in various places as well. She's sitting in the path, in the pathway of the Tower. And right now, we don't hear much from her except bad publicity. That's the Ten of Wands. And, of course, that has raised for her a need to make a decision. That's interesting. We've got in her fear, hopes and fear, loss, but that's also walking away. And we've got the soldiers, the Knight of Swords coming, the action being taken on information being received. And we've got clarified by the Ace of Swords again. Wow, and disappointment. Okay, so it's interesting. I don't I don't know what's going on with the inauguration investigation, but it's other investigations as well. It could be more than just the inauguration. There are other. She's in the line of sight of that tower. This tower is here for her. There's some information that will be coming forward around Ivanka Trump shortly. It's big, whatever it is. It's big, and it's going to result in disappointment. That card also came up in the Trump spread as the Nine of Pentacles as well. He's worried about her legal jeopardy. Right now, this is Ivanka, poor little rich girl. September, the glare of investigation and exposure, going back to the past, and what's here. It's her father. It's her father. Now, I'm not saying that she's been at the mercy of her father, but I'm saying that I have read that Donald Trump has her signature on those inauguration papers. It's not his. It's not his signature. So that's one to watch. Something that's going to come up for Ivanka pretty soon. Now, Don Jr.'s been relatively quiet. Is Berman doing Barr's bidding? He was Giuliani's law partner and a Trump choice. Yeah, there is suspicion there, Julie. I actually was thinking the same thing. In fact, I thought he wasn't clean with Epstein. I didn't think he was totally being kosher with that. He said he was going to pursue justice, and then it just fell away as soon as Epstein departed this world. But he did look the camera straight in the eye the other day and said, "If you've broken the law, I'm coming for you." Now, it's interesting because what my intuition is telling me is that Berman's also playing for high career stakes as well. He's playing for the longer game for himself. So that's what I feel from Berman at the moment. I feel like Giuliani went after the Italian mafia and forged a career. So too is Berman in his own way doing that. But is he taking orders from Barr? Is Barr able to pick up or not pick up the phone, however they communicate what they do, and say, back off, don't indict Giuliani? Well, that's the question we'll ask, because we'll leave. Don Jr., I feel, has been a bit of a PR disaster, and Eric Trump is coming out now and doing the chance of lock him up. They're all taking turns, aren't they? Okay, remember the darkened room. Berman. Is Barr able to stop Berman from indicting Giuliani? That's the direct question. Is Barr able? We'll see. No, it's not the direct question, because you've seen how insidious this is. Trump could want Giuliani indicted simply to take the pressure off him, as was the case with Michael Cohen. I do believe that some of what they're doing is being done on the roll in response to unfolding events. It's not all strategy. What can I ask? Is Barr able to influence Berman in any way in seeking justice? Is Barr able to influence Berman in any way to stop justice occurring? Is Barr able to stop Berman from seeking justice on when the law is broken, seeking justice? Barr stopping Berman in relation to justice. Yeah, he is able to, but this is also the sword of truth. So I won't go too far. It's a sword of justice, basically. And we've got the past. Okay, so they're the two signifier cards. The past. This could be Mueller as well. This could be Mueller's trap, Mueller's landmines. Judgment, something coming to an end. It's kind of bigger, I think, than Barr now. In the past, we've got the Six of Wands. This is victory for Berman, I feel. I feel Berman's ego is getting is getting a run here. We've got Trump or staying in control. as the potential future. It could also be the issue. We've got the immediate future. So, it's awful to see that these cards might be corrupted with the Sun and the Ace are both yes cards, but they're also in this pack have the Justice archetype in them as well. We've got the Sword of Truth, the Soldier, and we've got okay, now I'm getting a clear run. Okay, so Berman is on the righteous path. He's on the path of justice. We do have Trump looming in the sky there. There is a element of Berman being of wanting to forge his career on this. For Barr, it's difficult to influence too much because we've got the Six of Cups here. There's the past to be, it's what has happened in the past. So there is Barr's power is not absolute. Because also of judgment, there is an inevitability about this ending. So there comes a tipping point where the truth must come forward. It's coming forward at the moment. That's all I can say. Berman is on the level at this point in time. Barr is not influencing him, I don't think. But Berman's actions is raising the spectre of an abuse of power on behalf of Trump and Barr. So this is why Trump is in the sky here. He is going to have a go at trying to influence this. We've got the hopes and fears. This is, these are big, major arcana cards that are all around endings. This is too big. This is too big for Barr to stop. But look what we've got in the outcome card. We've got the Devil, but let's wait and see. The Devil having to defend himself, and the Mercenary, reward for effort. Barr is going to have a go. Okay, let's just put it like that. Trump is extremely insecure. We've got Mueller. We've got Mueller here again, and the Chariot being unleashed. That's interesting. That's interesting. And that King of Swords could also be Berman himself, the prosecutor side of Berman. It's like that. It's like that. The truth is coming out. It's like Shep Smith and Chris Wallace had a real good go at independent journalism on a very right-winged, station like Fox. They had a good run, but at some point Murdoch stepped in and got rid of Shep Smith. Berman's going, I think at the moment, going really well. Let's just put it like that. It is possible that Trump will step in or bar by Trump. But Barr is hamstrung and restricted by the magnitude of what's going on. As I said, there comes a point, a tipping point, when he can't go in and influence it because it's just too big. The world is watching. These two Ukrainians, when Berman indicted the Ukrainians, he set the wheels in motion. The Congress, changing the House in November, when they started their investigations, they put the pressure on the investigators to bring people to justice because, and of course here we see, even in a limping democracy that you have at the moment with someone as corrupt as Trump in charge of it, here we see the democracy at work. It's not all going to be clean. It's not all going to be wonderfully altruistic agendas, but we do see democracy at work here, and that's what's going to stop Barr. Okay, now, Don Jr. quickly, and then we might go to Jared. Do you feel Jared and Ivanka have been very quiet lately? I do. Okay, so let's have a look at Don Jr. What's he up to? Now, is he off travelling as well? Has he been skirting around to Italy along with everyone else? What's going on with Don Jr.? He's up to his neck with the Trump organisation. What's happening with Don Jr.? Don Jr., what's happening? What's going on with Don Jr.? I feel he's under pressure from his father at the moment. That's what I feel. It's all around the money with this Page of Pentacles. His father may not be happy with whatever he's doing with Trump organisation. There's money going out. There's money going out. Yeah, challenged by having to defend themselves. Yeah, he's dealing. Don Jr.'s in the firing line, which could be why Eric Trump has now been elevated to come and chant, "Lock him up, lock him up." Look at the pages. The pages. The knight. Well, he's the Knight of Pentacles. It's all about the money, the page, the knight, and defending the money. Okay. Juggling the money. Okay. And manipulating the money. All right. Look at all these pentacles when we ask about Don Jr. Here's the Trump organization. All right. So the 10 of Pentacles. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all about the money for Don Jr., and I do feel his father's not happy with it. The King of Wands, the investigations, that's where Don Jr. is. He's trying to manage those, or with his father, try and manage those lawmaker, the court investigations, and his father's not happy with him. We've got a plan at the moment, a plan that's unfolding in time, but it's challenged by confusion, and it's challenged by a crisis of faith, and it's challenged by things needing to emerge, secrets needing to emerge. He could even be destroying records. He could even be. That's why we haven't heard from him. And he's under a lot of pressure from his dad. We've got judgment. They fear this inevitable ending. And we've got wounded, retreat, sound the alarm. He's Trump, retreat, and being very, very, very insecure about his money. You know, what's at the base of the pack? I'm glad we read on Don Jr. Because it seems those Trump children are in trouble. Base of the pack, you know, this is the new starts, pretty coming out of a red sky. The takedown of Trump, I mean, you know, is going to be, it's going to come hardest, will fall hardest on Trump, but it's going to come hardest on his children. I do feel that their signatures are on a lot of things. Endings and beginnings. We're facing the closing down of a chapter. We've got the loss and walking away, and we've got high levels of anxiety. So it looks like Don Jr. is trying to juggle some of these court and investigations. His father is extremely worried. It's all around the money. That's where Don Jr. is at the moment. I'm just going to go to Jared. I'll skip Eric for the moment. We'll get to him some other time. I feel that Ivanka and Don Jr. are in the legal jeopardy. Jared Kushner, what's happening with Jared Kushner? Let me just freshen up the deck. What's happening with Jared Kushner? What's happening? And this will be our last question. What's happening with Jared Kushner? What's happening with Jared Kushner? What do we need to know? Now, he, you know, is almost Netanyahu's his uncle. Netanyahu nearly lost power. He's under corruption investigation himself. Jared is, while he's under Trump's thumb, he's also a little bit independent as well. So what's happening with Jared? What's happening with Jared Kushner? What's happening with Jared Kushner? Okay, so we've got the Star of Hope as the signifier card, and we've got investigation. He's being investigated at the moment by Congress and in other ways as well. He's the subject of some sort of investigation. This is the mercenary card. That's interesting. And we've got Mueller. When I was shuffling, I was almost tempted to ask, is there a sealed indictment? I do believe there may be for Jared Kushner. Yeah. Okay, so this is Trump Organization, but it's also his own financial dealings as well. This is Saudi Arabia. Congress as well. It won't surprise me to see not only Mueller, but, congressional investigation and the unredacted parts of the Mueller report. The lawmakers, the courts. We've got the Empress card. This is my card for Russia. So these are leftover Mueller investigations and new starts here as well. Let's see what his fear is the Judgment card. These people aren't getting off. We've got the Moon card, things needing to come to the surface. And here we have the Congress. My thoughts were being drawn to Congress, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. These are congressional investigations that are going to push forward the legal jeopardy for Jared Kushner. And there is something in the Mueller report that is very important here to this investigation. One more card, what he's done in the past. We've got the Judgment. We've got his insecurity around his money, or insecure about his freedom, I guess. The Tower card, and we've got who he took money from, Saudi Arabia. He's under investigation. There's something in the unredacted Mueller reports that point to Kushner. It does include Russia as well, his dealings with Russia right at the beginning. There could even be an indictment there for him, but Congress will move this forward. Kushner's the Tower is there for Kushner. The Tower is there for Ivanka, and Mueller is in both those scenarios. As I keep saying, and I said at the time, what Mueller did will be the subject of historical, I don't know, it's almost like accolades. But anyway, all right. So, Angela, hello, Marianne, and everyone. I'm sorry, we'll catch up later. I think that's probably all I'll do now. It's 50 minutes. I've probably been talking too much. Angela, just go back and rewind, because you'll see readings on Syria and then on Ivanka, Don Jr. and Jared. Interesting, we got drawn to the children today. They're they're in deep trouble, and they know it. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for showing. Thanks for turning up. It's Monday morning here in Australia, and everybody, you're going into your new week, depending on where you reside. Everybody have a brilliant week, and I'll be back with another reading again soon. All right, Lynn, thank you so much for all your comments and gratitude. I see them all. I see and I read them all, even when some of them disappear. Short but sweet. Wait till you see the reading. Light and love, and don't forget sending healing intentions to Jana's left leg sciatica, which is she's been troubled a lot by sciatica. Julie, lovely to see you here, and Carol and everyone else. If I've forgotten anyone, I don't mean to. Everyone else that joined the forum, those that aren't in the chat room, thanks for showing. Thanks for being my enthusiastic audience today, and I hope you enjoyed that. So have a great week, everybody. Thank you.